Hi everyone, my name is Mohammed Sufyan. Today I'm going to talk about how to configure SQL Server with SSL certificate. So before we start with a demo, I wanted to know the purpose of having an SSL certificate and how we can create a certificate. So there are multiple ways of creating a certificate. You can have a certificate authority from where you can create a certificate or request it. Mostly all the organization which have a domain, they have their own certificate servers where they generate it. Normally, people prefer to generate the certificate using IIS because it's easy and a lot of headache has been saved by doing this. You don't need to go and manually install it. Once you create a certificate with IIS, it goes and install it into the certificate root. Now, let me jump into the demo and show you how basically we can create a certificate, then how we can configure a SQL Server protocol to use SSL certificate, and how we can configure the client to use the encryption to encrypt your connections. Now, as you can see that I have already opened the SQL Server, the IIS manager. In the IIS manager, if you click on the root, you need to just scroll down a little bit, and under the IIS category you will see a server certificate. Double click this, yeah, and it will take you to the server certificates page. Now on the right hand side you can see there are a couple of options. This import option is when you have a third-party certificate from somewhere outside, and you want to import it within the certificate library. You can use this method to do that. Now you can set a create certificate request, which is basically you need to pull all the information in and then you can create the certificate. The third option is that once you have a certificate authority, you can go and approve it, and once that is approved, you will come here and say like complete certificate request. You need to go all this and give a personal name, and it will go into the certificate store. Now here what we're going to do is we're going to create self-signed certificate. So once it is done, it will be on the local machine itself. It is auto approved and ready to use. So let me give a friendly name. So I'm going to give it to SQL SSL, and I'm going to save it into personal certificate storage. So the moment I say okay, it will create the certificate and it will be approved. And if you double click this, you can see the certificate information and all the policy and all the details and the certification path. Now the certificate is okay. If you see sorry, if you see the expiration date, by default a certificate gets created for a year, so it will be applicable for just a year. Now what we have done is that every certificate which gets created by IIS has a policy to renew certificate automatically. But if you don't want that, you can click this option on the right which says that disable automatic rebind or renewed certificate, but we don't want to do that. Now once the certificate is done, we will go back to our SQL Server Configuration Manager. We will navigate to SQL Server Network Configuration, and you will see the protocol for the SQL Server instance for which you want to use the SSL certificate. Right click that particular instance, go to the properties. In the certificate tab, you go and choose SSL. In the flags tab, you go and say force encryption. Now what basically it does is turns on or off encryption for selected server instance. Now this is basically going to use this particular certificate with this force encryption. Now let's go and say apply. It will give you a warning message that whatever the changes you have made so far, it will only take effect once you recycle the SQL Server services. So we will go back to the SQL Server services. We will choose the running instance on which we have configured the SSL, and we will say restart. I missed to tell you one thing is that when we enable this SSL certificate, it will be applicable for all the protocols which are there under this. So by default, there are shared protocol, there are TCP/IP protocol, and there are pipe protocols. It will be applicable for all. So the SQL Server services has been restarted now. Let's go back and check the SQL Server error log to see whether the certificate has been loaded successfully. So as you can see that the certificate with this certificate hash details 5AAED. So if you go back to IIS and see that certificate hash, so this is 5AAED. So yeah, the certificate has been uploaded successfully. Now we need to see whether the encryption happening or not. So let's execute the connection and we will see that yeah, the encryption is there. Let me quickly check that I have not forced my encryption with the client. The change connection string, go to option. Yeah, I haven't forced the encryption connection, so my encryption is applied, not enforced, so the encryption is true. Now let's go back and see how we can use this encryption by our clients. So as I have one single machine, I'm not able to show you the net mount running because the net mount only functions when we have a network connections there. So let me open my PowerShell, which is so now uh, let me quickly create a connection and hash it. I have just created this collection by using the SQL client library, which is mostly used by .NET frameworks, and I have used a PowerShell invoke SQL CMD. So these are the two things we want to show you, and I will also tell you how we can enforce an encryption if we are not using any certificate. So let's see right now without enforcing the connection to use encryption. So let me execute this and we will go back and check how many connections are there. So if you see here right now, there is another connection came up with TCP. The other two which we made were from the shared memory. Now this one is running right now with encryption is equal to true. So let me execute it by PowerShell command. This is still running right now, so let's wait for it to complete. So this is complete. Let me run this one. Execute this one up. Man. So this is another shared memory which has been loaded. So SQL CMD used the shared memory protocol. Now there is another way of doing is that I can go ahead and tell my connections to use force encryption. So let's do that. Let me increase the iterations 20 and okay, so now you can see that it's been using the encryptions. We can do the same with our connection. We can go to the you know connection and change connection properties options, and we can say encrypt the connection and trust the certificate. So connect and let's execute it. So this is how it is. So all the encryptions are done. We can see the error log for any errors if there are any. So as such, no errors. So if you see here, we can go up right now. So yep, everything went fine. Thanks for watching.